Hey, welcome to Impress the Boss. I'm Catherine.
I'm Laurel.
And I'm Valerie.
And we're here to help you stand out without working overtime. This week, we are talking about Bob Spock. If you haven't caught up on who the Bobs are, check them out on ImpressTheBoss.com. We'll be talking about who Bob Spock is, a use case around Bob Spock or a case study, and then some questions to think about this week to help you impress your boss and stand out. So Bob Spock obviously is a play on Spock from Star Trek. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. I love
a nerd.
I kind of am a nerd. If you know what Stargate SG-1 is, then we should be friends. I've seen all 10 seasons a couple times.
Anyway, be honest, more than 2 times.
Maybe. So Bob Spock, is really deep into tech, deep into Deep Space Nine, and really just has this really smart analytical brain, right? Complex codes, anything like that, problem solving, no problem for our Bob Spock.
He sounds like an Enneagram 5.
Yes, could be an Enneagram 5, Laurel. But the challenges I think with the Bob Spock are, he'd rather be sitting in his cube than doing anything relational. Like he can code all day long, but having a conversation is just maybe super draining. If there's a company picnic or company party, it's an automatic sick day for Bob Spock.
Avoidance.
Yeah. And I think the Bob Spock, they're just so smart that explaining concepts to other people can be very challenging. It's just kind of tiring because no one really gets it. No one really gets the way that they think. So I think that Bob Spock encounters some challenges in the workforce relationally and really how to communicate effectively. So Laura, I think you have a use case or a case study for us to consider.
We're going to talk about Larry today. So Larry is one of those people that you will hand your most complex problem to Larry. Like he will solve it and he will solve it blindfolded type of a thing, right?
I want a Larry.
I know, right? Yeah. I know the healthcare challenge in America, we need to put Larry on it. So no, in reality, like truly he is the person that will come up with the most amazing ideas for sure. So he is that person that you want on your most complex and most challenging problems and challenges. The problems are a little bit of what you talked about. One, he has an opinion about everything because he's so well read and so well versed, but he doesn't really know how to express some of those opinions. And he also kind of doesn't understand why nobody else gets it, right? Like,
right.
Why don't you know this? Like, this is common sense, that sort of a perspective, if you will. So the people piece also is a big problem for him as far as others feeling left out because Larry has solved the problem on his own. He doesn't really need them to participate or that he's not communicating with them about the challenge or the problem that he's working through. And he kind of maybe likes it that way and doesn't really want to involve other people, but certainly is not, helping himself to grow or develop within the organization, by continuing in that perspective. So for Larry in particular, kind of a couple of things that helped Larry were to, one, find a like-minded person in the organization that he could be friends with. So somebody that he felt like he was a comrade, if you will, or somebody that he could relate to and had some similarities with. And, that then he was able to work on his communication skills and, experience what it was like to, to have somebody that was maybe a little bit more on par with him. So finding that person and then just simply engaging a little bit more. And that doesn't have to be like all of a sudden overnight you're at every single happy hour or offsite or, team activity, but that, just little by little you're participating a little bit more. And that was the approach that Larry took. We'll see in our standout tips this week a little bit more about some of the things that Larry utilized to be effective or be more effective in and to create more influence for himself within his job.
I think that Bob Spock really embodies this this other dialogue happening that's very common now about being introverted and extroverted, and how there is a perception that I'll play on right now. It's actually a misperception about introvertism and extrovertism because I've studied this a lot. But introverts who just want time away, and they don't need to be around people all the time. So
Right.
it's much easier just to withdraw and not engage because it's so tiring. Well, but actually you should engage and should dialogue to some extent, to the extent that you can, because it will definitely help you grow as a person.
Absolutely. And in our examples that we just gave, like there's a learning that takes place on both sides when the introverts are willing to participate and to, lean into dialogue and conversation.
Right. And this leads us into asking the question, are you a Bob Spock? And we have a few questions here that you can ask yourself. The first question would be to ask yourself, do you find yourself getting frustrated when you're explaining ideas and people aren't getting it? And you're just yakking away, but you can tell that they have blank faces and you're getting frustrated.
Eyes glazed over.
That's right.
And with that, that's the second question is, do you expect everyone to know what you already know? And I think that is a good question to see if you are a Spock, because Spocks are, like what Laurel referred to, book readers and deep thinkers and know-it-all. And so a third question would be, do you tend to avoid people? And it's those parties or holiday parties per se that you just find an excuse not to attend. And also with the book theme, do you find your books being your best friend? Are they who you rather want to spend time with than with people in general? And then the last question you can ask yourself is, can you right now actually really define and describe your feelings? And are you a Spock? Are you a Bob Spock? And with that, it leads to our question, are your gifts really turning into being the biggest detriments in your work area, in your workplace?
Well, because Bob Spocks are smart. We want them. We want you.
We are the problem solvers.
Right?
Yes, we need them to, as Laurel said, to bring that answer to our healthcare problem.
Yeah, no kidding. But we need you as part of the team, not just an ancillary, part of the organization. So we need you as part of the group.
Right. And what's great about Bob Sparks too, Spocks, is being able to learn from them.
Yeah.
I love to find the Bob Sparks and be able to have dialogues with them and just be like, wow, never heard something to be described that way, or it's great to really learn from them.
Yeah, so people actually, Bob Spock, want to hear you.
Exactly. Yeah. Speak up.
So here's some great questions to think about this week. If you're a Bob Spock or you work with a Bob Spock, we'd love to hear about your experience. Share your story on social with us, #ImpressTheBoss, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you listening in. If you'd like to learn more about the Bobs, go to ImpressTheBoss.com, where you will see all our Bob characters and hopefully find one that you relate to as well. While you're there, subscribe to be part of our crew and you'll get our free tool download. Also, follow us on social, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook for our daily standout tips. Thanks for joining, and until next time, Bob's out.